How's it going, everybody? My name is Bo, and I'm a home theater enthusiast. And in today's video, I am going to show the steps I took to add some vertical columns to the back of my room, which you can see behind me. Um, and I'll insert like footage from one of my last videos right now, just so you can kind of see what it looked like before. Um, so yeah, there wasn't the columns. There was just cutouts for the speaker with some trim around it and color matched fabric hiding it. So um, I've been wanting to do this a long time, and there was reasons it took so long. I kind of explained while when I was recording some of the steps. I was kind of talking about some of the issues or reasons why I was not looking forward to doing it. So it was quite a tedious and longer process than you'd probably think for just two wooden vertical columns, but I think the results look great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a little more of the before footage and then go right into the first update, which was I forgot to record like directly before I started working on it. So the very first video I recorded was after I pulled the trim and the speaker grill fabric, if you will, off. So let's cut to that, and then we'll get into the video. It's going to be a little bit lengthy because there's a lot of steps, and I did some explanations. So hopefully you enjoy this. But yeah, we'll see you at the end. I'll give you my final thoughts, and that'll be it. Well, as you can see, I forgot to record before I did anything, so I already have the trim removed from around the speakers and the fabric that I had hiding them, and it looks pretty ugly right now. Definitely can't wait to get the columns in place because these speakers are way too high. They're like 73 inches from the ground of the tweeter. They're a few inches from the ceiling. Back in 2006, I really didn't know what I was doing, and I've always regretted having them that high. So I got to worry about these light switch. This one's going to clear. This one over here is going to be blocked, which I can live with. I could put it in the center of the column, but I don't think I'm going to. So yeah, it's an unused one. Sucks to cover it up, but and here's a better look at the speaker up close. Really nice speaker. I like how they sound. 1-inch dome tweeter. I think it's 5 1/4 woofer. Yeah, we'll go into the other room and I'll show you the speakers that are going to replace these. Do a quick unboxing. So here they are, the Focal 300 IW6, and do a quick impromptu unboxing. I should have had everything out already, but I'll show them more later, but you'll see the it's like a 6.5 woofer, and it's an unusual inverted dome tweeter that is patented, I think, by Focal, and it's aimable. So hopefully they sound great. And here's the wood that I'm using to build the columns. So I'm excited. Let's get to it. So it's the next day, and I have one of the columns mocked up, and I'm trying to settle on the height of the speaker. Right now I have the tweeter at 56 inches. My ear sitting on the couch is at 40, but I don't want to have the couch blocking any audio coming from the back surrounds because I was very happy with my old ones. But I did want to lower them to create more separation with my height channels. So I think 56 for the tweeter is going to be good. My side surrounds currently are at 60, which you can't see. And I always felt those were just a little too high. I regretted that as soon as I did it. I regretted making them that high. Now it's only going to be 4 inches lower, and probably won't make that much of a difference. But I figured is any improvement I can make to the sound bubble, creating the separation between the height channel and the side surrounds. That's if I decide that I like the focals in the back and go through the process of making two new columns for the sides to house the focals. Just wanted to show the two columns mocked up. I spaced the gap between the door in the column, and the acoustic panel the same. I think that looks the best. The other option is to center that between the wall and that column, so I'll finalize that. But let's go in the back room. I want to show what the openings look like in this room now that the speakers are removed. You can see the wire hanging there, and the back of the wood of the columns at this point, but I'm gonna have to fill or put some wood around the inside so I have something to screw the drywall to, and then put some insulation in there. And on the theater room side, I'm not too worried about finishing it perfectly, but on this side I definitely want to make it look nice. But I don't love the idea of sanding around the AV equipment, but it's gonna have to get done, so I'm gonna get to that. But anyway, let's go to the next step where I'll get a speaker test fit in one of the columns. So here you can see I got one speaker installed, and my idea worked so that I could keep the column at 11 inches wide, because it asked for a 10 7/8 inch opening on the inside, but that would have put the width of the columns over 12 inches wide, and I didn't want that. And so I had an idea to make some cutaways for the mounting, and I'll show that right now. So looking at these are what lock the speaker in place, and when they swing open, it makes it really wide. So if both of them were out, then it would hit the side of the wood and not close. And I didn't want to make the beam any wider, so what I did was I measured where those arms were, and I cut about 3/8 into the wood on both sides. So that allows the arms to go to their widest and then latch on the back. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I wish I wouldn't have had to do it. And I really wish I could have got away with not making the columns wider, but I had to because of the old opening and because of the way these speakers mount. So now I'm going to do the other side, and then I'm going to glue the front on, remove them, and then do a lot of sanding, do some routering the edge, and then putting some support pieces in there to firm it up, and then fill it with insulation, put it back on the wall, and obviously running speaker wire and getting them hooked up. So we'll get to that next. Some progress was made since the last time we were here. I got the wood around, insulation. I got the piece cut, fits perfect, but I'm priming it and I'm going to paint it the wall color beforehand. Even though it's going to be hidden, I still want it to look semi-decent. And then I twisted up the wires in there, and then I just took some foam insulation just so keep dirt and dust out of there, I guess. So yeah, I won't miss that outlet. I feel good about that it's covered completely. And then over here, I'm going to use this long blade to clean up the edges all the way around so I have a nice clean edge. And then do the same thing I did on the other side. Let me show you the columns. So I have 2 coats of primer. I filled a lot of the imperfections. I've sanded it in between every coat, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. The 1 coat is definitely not enough. I'm going to do 3 total, sanding in between with 120 grit. There's the other one. You can really see the inconsistency of the 1 coat. And then other than that, I got some drywall pre-primed to cut for the other pieces, and yeah, nothing major here. It's just really gonna be a lot of little tedious work until everything comes together. So yeah, we'll see you on the next progress update. So last time you saw was just the first coat of the top coat, and it looked terrible, so I sanded that really good, and then put a second coat on, sanded that down, and this is the third and hopefully final coat. I'm just going to let it dry for a couple days before I insert the speakers. So it's Saturday today. Tomorrow I'm getting some adhesive backed foam, 1/8 inch foam I'm going to put on the back so that when it goes against the wall it won't vibrate. So also, not that I want to show because it looks terrible, I got the dehumidifier going to try to dry. I just put a piece of drywall. It was cut pretty close to the exact fit, but you know, it just looks terrible. I just did some caulk. It's gonna be hidden. I didn't want to do any joint compound and sanding in here. Just no reason to. I mean, that one looks even worse, but be completely hidden. And someday if I do have to pull the columns down and I can just fill it in then and sand it properly. But so the only thing left to do, you'll see, is drill some holes for the speaker wire to come through, and then a hole in the drop ceiling to come down into the columns. Mount the columns to the wall with the foam backing installed, and then just wait another day or two to install the speakers, and then I'll be good to go. So we'll check back with you once they're on the wall and speaker wire and everything's run. So I don't have the speakers in yet, but turned out really well. Installation wasn't too bad. Got the speaker wire run. So if you look in here, I just had some scrap acoustic foam, you know, cheap stuff. Can't really see, the lighting's terrible. But if you look at this, I didn't want to just have the bare wall behind there. I don't know what this is actually going to do, but I had some leftover insulation, so I just ripped off some layers, and then using some backing fabric I had, I'm just going to tape up the end there and just kind of set it in here. Don't know what any of this is going to do with the foam and stuff. I didn't want it to be all wood, but yeah, it's definitely a new look. I'll have to get used to it once I get the speakers in place. I'm gonna probably wait a day or two just to make sure that paint's nice and dry. So I'll come back when the speakers are in place, and then I'll wait to paint the grills after I'm happy and satisfied with the sound, and we'll see you when it's all complete. So I got the speakers installed. I waited a few days and then tested them out with some music. I'll play a clip right now.
If you would have been the one, would everything be different today? We were something, don't you think so? Rosy blowing with your chosen family. And
they sound really good. They are, you know, fairly small speaker. The woofer doesn't move much. I have the crossover at 100 hertz. I level match, but I haven't done any other testing, no measurements. So it's you know, there's no port, unlike my side surround, the Polks. They have a port and they look nicer. I really like how these look. But I had all channel stereo on, and I went back and forth, and the Focals just sounded, it wasn't as loud, but it's just cleaner, more natural sound, whereas the Polks were just more, it sounded louder. I think there's just distortion, and it's just, I wouldn't say they're terrible or muddy or anything, but it's just kind of more blaring sound, and the Focals was just a lot more natural. So I'll show you over here. this is the second color I went with. The first color was too dark. I'll show a screenshot right now. And then I ended up putting the fabric because you could clearly see the speaker. I'll show you the fabric. It's just slightly sticky, and I mean you can see through it obviously. But I didn't actually test it yet with the SPL meter to see how much reduction there is. I'm guessing less than a decibel, but we'll find out. Not 100% happy with the color match, which it wasn't technically a color match. I had to buy another $7 can of spray paint because the first one was too dark. I think I might look into getting like an airbrush system because I got plenty of this paint left over, and see if I can dilute that and just give it a fine layer of the actual paint used for the columns and see if that blends in better. But let me show you what I've been working on. I did way more than I planned as far as drywall mud, but I filled the holes, and it was looking pretty ugly at first when I got them in there. It was kind of sticking out. Like you can see where I have more mud there. It was kind of sticking out, so I have to taper it off. This one was even worse. Basically the whole bottom, a little bit up on the left, the whole right side was raised, so I had to fan it out. So I'm gonna got the air dehumidifier going, try to dry this out. I'm gonna sand it and get all that mess done, and then paint. And I'm not super worried about it looking amazing, but I wanted to look, relatively nice. So that's the update. Alright, and here is the finished product. And yeah, I think it looks great. It matches really nice with the rest of the room, obviously. Even though the columns are an inch wider, you can't really tell because they're not side by side. But yeah, very, very happy with how it turned out. Also thought I would show the finished patch job I did where the rear speakers were coming through the wall. And it's not perfect, but it'll do. I mean, you can kind of see the outline if you look hard enough. Just wanted to show what this looked like. All right, well, you've seen the final results. Not that it matters to me directly because I'm happy with it, and I'm the only one that really needs to be happy with it, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. Was it a worthy upgrade or a worthy change? Did you like it better before? Even though I don't have the best footage of it before, I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Just to reiterate, the audio it's very similar to what I had with my bookshelf speakers, which were really nice bookshelf speakers, but it was definitely not a downgrade in the audio department. I'm glad I got the speakers and the tweeters lowered, and I'm definitely going to do the side surrounds with the same Focal 300 speakers, so probably do that next month. It ain't going to look really much any different because you won't notice the 1 inch wider columns, but overall I'm happy I did it, and it's not like I can't wait, but I'm excited to have like a full bed layer of all the same speaker series with the same tweeters. So anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.